I have to fix my hair. It's gonna be so wavy. It's gonna look hella dope. It's gonna look cool, man. I put product in it, and last time I washed it a few days ago. Then I leave it. I forget about it. I don't have mirrors in my house, so sometimes I use my camera for a mirror. Woo! Woo! Mom used to get perms to get because her hair was straight. She wanted it wavy like this. I wish I would have known how to braid hair when I was a little girl. I could have just braided her and she could have got the outcome, but I don't think she knows how to braid hair, honestly. Today I said I'm at Offutt Air Force Base. I play with algorithms. I say I'm different places that I've been. I don't say I'm places that I've never been, but I say that I'm at places that I've been before. And I was stationed at Offutt Air Force Base. I saw my first cardinal in real life at Offutt Air Force Base. When you get there, it's all a part of the program. Go America! Patriotism! You gotta love your country more than yourself so all the resources can go into new buildings like Stratcom. They get you all gun home. See, I went in, I was 25 years old. I was old enough to know better, and I already lived a life. I already knew what the world really was. Yeah, I wasn't a part of the apple pie baseball program. That stuff freaking made my third eye twitch. I couldn't stand baseball. Sports are like it's like a magnet for unuseful idiots where like you could just get people to go and spend a bunch of money on doing a whole bunch of nothing for decades. I never understood that. I got invited to go to a Husker game one time by Peg Martin, and I was like, nah, that's cool. I don't really like football. I'd rather stay at home and do nothing with my dogs, because my time is always filled doing stuff for other people. They could give a care less about me. I was in recovery in Bellevue. I went to AA meetings for 14 years. You know, they'd always say things like, act better than you feel. And I'm like, why don't I just act myself into feeling better? Like taking actions and go out and exercise and do stuff like that. You know, it's more truthful, but they twist words, those goofy Freemasons. So when I was at Offutt, I got there in 2001. And the dorms we lived in, I was in age, flight line support. And the dorms that we stayed in were they were over with the other groups. But we got our own dorm, maintenance did. And we got it because the security forces police, the people that like the defenders of the nation. They're the second lowest test scores on the military entrance exam, and then they give them guns. You know, they're all the good old boys that played baseball, all the popular kid. You know, go defend your country. It'll be easy. Just go be a cop, and then you can get out and go home and be a cop where you came from, and make freaking close to six figures. Never have to drive a car, pay for a car that you drive. Never, you know, you just get to go around and act like, you know, you're taking care of everybody, and then they have like little broke down psyches that tell them, you know, who the bad guys are. Yeah, and like they need to have psychological evals. And they need to pass tests, and they need to go through sensitivity training. Because they've always, people that have always been taken care of, they have no idea what it's like to take care of other people. They don't know what it's like to like make sure somebody else gets fed when, you know, you just get Uber your whole life and have all these creature comforts. No, the earth is about to get knocked back. A lot of people are going to be knocked off their high horses. This year is the year of the off the high horse. Isn't it the year of the horse too? I think it's Chinese astrology. Last year was year of the snake. I think it's year of the horse. So it's year of the getting off the knocked off the high horse. So if there's beings that are on a high horse, like, oh, it's nothing that they can't do that's wrong, and they're this great, wonderful, blah, 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 and they hide their shadow, they're going to get knocked off their horse because the shadows are going to be seen. So when I was at the aid shop, when I was in, like, they have, like, in the beginning, before you go to work, it's the pony show. It's the program. It's establishing the mark, of what the military is. You get your little so you have to, you basically sit in a classroom for 8 hours while different groups from the base come in and tell you what they're about. Right? That's what it is. It's a week-long commercial, essentially. And then during this commercial, they take you deep down in the belly of Stratcom. That's where they push that's where the bomb, that's where all the important people sit and go, and blah, blah, blah. It's a set. Washington, D.C. and Hollywood are the same. The only thing is there's a lot of John Eric Hexams in the desert. And, they might not be killed in the desert, but that's all right, because they figure out that what they're doing over there is a lie. And then that breaks people's psyche, because it goes against, the small town, thou shalt not kill, because you shouldn't. You shouldn't kill. Nobody should kill anybody for any reason. There shouldn't have to be a self-defense, because people should just not have to, they shouldn't have to defend themselves against predators, but humans and beings with opposable thumbs, they have their feelings are so big, they just can't contain them. It just happened again in some state, someplace, where the father killed his whole family because his wife was having an affair with his son. See, that's justifiable anger. But I was taught that you can't react from justifiable anger. Mom was the best teacher for me because she taught me things. She didn't just let me live life and then, like, if I was going to start a fire or something, tell me, no, don't do that. She didn't do that. No, she explained, and she helped me get through things when I was scared, and she recognized the being that I was, and then helped adjust my behavior accordingly. And what she led me to do more often than not was to deal with the consequences of my own actions. She left me to my own devices a lot, because I feel so much, and then I'd act out, and then I get in trouble on acting out. And she tried to really establish the importance of not acting out. My dad was an out actor. He had a family that protected him. He's from Freemasons, so they all look out for each other. They're in the club that I'm not a part of, and I don't want to be. So I had to learn how to adapt without the creature comforts. Me and Mom are so rich because we have everything we need, and we don't want more. See, people, they go crazy just going after, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. And I'm at a place where I'm content with everything that we have. There's no more wants. I don't remember what I talked about. What did I call this talk today? What did I call this talk today? Take what's good and leave the rest. I did learn a lot about when I was in the military. I'm gonna focus on a lot of the positives. Like, yeah, they had me be a part of the bullshit production in 9/11. It just breaks my heart because real people die. That's not, fake. That's a real thing. Okay? When I say things are fake, what I'm saying is they're derived from unjustifiable scenarios. That basically wars are coming up. Hey, what's up? Wars are made up from a bunch of spoiled brat fraternity dudes that are in their 60s that are sitting around and they've done everything they've always wanted to do, and they need to stimulate themselves. And that's how they do it. Because golf just isn't cutting it so much anymore. What's happening? The United States of America is collapsing. And I'm not sad about it. Talking about my time I was at Offutt Air Force Base. I was an airman. Airman Marge. Age Ranger. 55th Maintenance Squadron. Bunch of paid actors. I got 8 anthrax vax at the Erling Berquist Hospital. You got 2 at once. Ruined my whole freaking endocrine system. It's a bunch of bullshit. Don't re-enlist. If you do more than 6 and you know the truth, it's all blood money. You're taking the knee, and it ain't to G-O-D. It's to the D-O-D, the DUI hire. Are people still enlisting? I enlisted. I had to enlist. Like, my mom got her head slammed in a car door when I was 15, and I knew that if I didn't take care of her, nobody else would, and that's why I had to enlist. So I ended up at Offutt Air Force Base, left BEPS from Sacramento. Spent my formative years in Redding, California. Had 3 other people from Redding in the same shop. It's like it's predisposed. It's like it's all decided where people are gonna go. I was supposed to be a lineman. Thank God that didn't happen. Although that would have been cool to learn that education, to have that knowledge. I acquired far much more knowledge from the aid shop. Like, I had 7 months training, 6.5 months training. 5.5, 6 months. It was 5.5, 6 months. Training by the United States government on how to fix things. That's pretty cool. Then they had me go to Greece in 2003, when we bombed Iraq for no good reason. No good reason. All dudes named Eric are the same. I've never met... All guys named Eric are exactly the same. They wear flannel shirts. Lots of guys. The guy that I know, his name's Eric, his most prime example of Ericdom is he's probably still sleeps on his mom's couch, and he's 50 years old. And his mom probably still buys him bottles of vodka, too. Yeah, they are. All Erics are the same. They drive practical cars, or what they think is practical. Oftentimes they'll get a new car, like every 2 years, whether they need one or not. They're consistent in their inconsistency. See, I recognize that in them because these are things in myself that I recognize, and that's how I see them in other people. I don't deny it. I don't hate it. It's just how it is. You know, I'm in the age. I'm not in the villain era or whatever they call it. I'm in the age where I just say things how I see it based on my experience. And when you see your flight chief running down the freaking stairs, and going, "America's under attack," but he trips and almost falls. It was like a comedy show. And then we instantly start deploying equipment so we can go off and bomb whoever over there without permission. That's just what America does. It's a bros club, man. It just does whatever it wants. And if you don't fall in line, then you might be bent over the table at the officers club being taught a lesson. Because what happens at the officers club stays at the officers club. Like what happens in Vegas, Sin City, stays in Sin City. See, because people have free will and they can do whatever they want. And then they use it to do weird, gross, weird things. And then they find their friends that are going to share in their weird, gross behavior. And they do that too. Any Eric, if Eric wants to come up and act different than all the Erics I've ever met in my life, then go ahead and be the anomaly. And then they show themselves to be just like all the rest. Just like all the Davids and all the Roberts and all the... I'm trying to think. Common female names of people. Jessica's. My sister Jessica. They're all the same. They all have free will, and they can use it to be a good mom, or they could use it to be a shit stain on the fabric of society, going out and do whatever they wanted. They could be like their example, or they could break the chain. And my sister Jessica didn't break the chain, and now she's dead. Like, that's the thing, is we all have free will. It's what we do with it. And people choose to do unuseful things and say unuseful things. Like, go help somebody move. Go relieve somebody's, like, actual service. Because the military isn't an actual service, man. When I was in age, I'd come out in from working the flight line, freaking sweat, grease, disgusting, just gross. And there I see all these dudes sitting around, and I walk in, I'd be like, hey, I hope you don't go home and tell your family how tired you are and get all posted up on the couch, put your feet up, wait for your dinner because you're so tired because you did nothing all day. Because not only would that make you lazy, that makes you a liar too. And then I go to these barbecues and I see these families, these wives and these children of these men that I worked with, and I was like, God, they think this guy's a really good guy. And I got to listen to stories about how they go TDY and then come back and all the affairs that they have. And I'm like, isn't that punishable against the UCMJ? Isn't cheat? It is. My brother was a JAG. He was in Baghdad for a year when he put on, captain, I think, there. Maybe, I don't know, one of those useless ranks. Because he just handed out LORs all year and Article 15s for military members that just can't keep it in their pants. That's what the military is. And that's why military intelligence is in fact an oxymoron. Police, it's a whole racket. You have, like, it used to be judges would give you military or you go to jail. And when I was in, there's all kinds of weird people doing stuff. Like, how did they get past maps? How are they allowed? How is a dude with a lazy eye, when I talked to him, that was my supervisor when I got to the aid shop and office. Dude had a lazy eye. I'm like, how did you get in? I can't even tell if you're looking at me. I bet you there's pilots that are colorblind too. Because there's a waiver for everything. I knew a pilot in the Marines because of who his dad was. Just let my son in. He wants to be a helicopter pilot. Let him. But sir, he's dyslexic. I don't care. Okay, that's the military. And then people have parades for it. And then these dudes, these young guys, these young bucks, these young virile men, all full of piss and vinegar, defending their country. Dude, there's nobody. America is dissolving from within. Right now, as I sit here, Mom's still sleeping. She's used to me. Blah, 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 blah. She's been listening to me, blah, 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 since I would call her. Before she lived with me, I'd have to walk across the golf course at Offutt Air Force Base. Because I got a DUI. And I still didn't learn my lesson until 8 months later. Because my ego wouldn't let go of the, I'm an adult, I can do what I want, blah, 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 blah. I didn't get kicked out, and I still won awards. I don't even know what that, I'm not even going to acknowledge. What? I don't know. I don't know what that. No. I don't know what that is. Like people like say things and they say it to like be derogatory. I say it to be inquisitive. They did weird shit to me when my mom was pregnant with me. So I was probably supposed to be born male, and then when they put too many hormones in you, you come out female. I came out female. When I was 5, I wanted to be a little boy so I could pee in the woods and not have to go outside. But then I left that mentality back when I was 5 years old. And I was also taught that God don't make junk, so why would I have surgery to change and alter something that isn't broken? That's like a sickness. That's like weird. I got braces when I was 40 and have remorse because I altered what God gave me. No, my family would have absolutely loved me to be a part of that narrative. Absolutely. I would have been General Marge by now, because I would have gone with the power control program like my brother did. But I wouldn't let them manipulate me. That's why I'm a scapegoat, because I can't be manipulated. I'm one of the people, it's like, yeah, I take guidance and direction. I follow policies and procedures. I was the TODO for the aid shop back in 2006. I'm all about accountability and taking responsibility. But I just am living, I've never been a part of a world where I was surrounded by other people that did that also. And I'm not a fake, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm something that I'm not. And I just have a lot of masculine energy, and thanks to astrology, I don't want to have a sex change. I don't want to pretend like I'm something that I'm not. I believe in the Bible metaphorically. There's a man named William Donahue that does a lot of YouTube talks that I take the good and I leave the rest. Because astrology in Genesis, they talk about how the answers are in the stars, and that's how I interpret astrology. Is I get knowings because I have the propensity to drink alcohol. So astrology tells me when the energy is gonna feel like when there's a lot of Uranian energy. I feel like a tongue on a 9-volt battery, and there's nothing I can do to soothe myself. I'll check it out. Let me screenshot that because I like recommendations. I have a Bible. It has my name on it. It's funny because it's called a Rainbow Bible. And it's color coded, so it has like, the devil is gray, so it has like love and stuff like that. But I'm bad with reading. I don't like to read because I have too much Pisces. So I'm thinking about, I can't focus and determine the one storyline that this person wants me. I would rather go out and make some weed candy. That's what I do to give to people. I give these I'm autistic. They said in 87 I was 12. They said, you're autistic. I thought they said artistic, so I started drawing. And I came up with this. Straight people like rainbows too. And it's in the color wheel. See, I'm a contrarian. I find stuff out later. Like I act in certain ways, and then an ex-girlfriend of mine says, you're a heyoka. I'm like, what's a heyoka? And I was like, okay. I think that is the only label that I would be willing to take on. Is I'm a heyoka empath. I work in the shadows so people can live in the light. I help people absolve the shadows within themselves so they can live in the light. And I love to help people. I love to turn people's shitty lives into a decent day. That's why I like to give people stickers. I like to share my experience, my strength, my hope. And I like to tell everybody everything that I did. I don't know. I haven't been on a date in 8 years. She was a cute chick. Nora, she had Obi dog. It's not even the same world anymore that it was when Nora and I went on that. It was a cool date. We went on it. We met. I came out from Omaha. She came down from Portland. We met in San Francisco and just enjoyed each other's company. But people don't like me because I've got Scorpio moon, see, so you can be intimate, no sex required. You don't need sex to be intimate. Am I living off Social Security? No, my mom got her head slammed in a car door when she was 38 and I was 15. So that's why I enlisted. And I did 6 years. I'm 90% disabled. My body is wrecked. I have to work very hard just to do what regular people do with minimal effort. My mom, she gets Social Security. Don't worry though, because it's only $800 a month. So don't be mad at her, okay? Because we also ended up in Taos, New Mexico, where she was adopted from. Where she was thrown away by her whole family. No, I live off my disability. My 90% that I earned from fighting in a fake war. Operation Enduring Iraqi Enduring Freedom bullshit, dude. I saw 500 Marines go into Iraq and do a bunch of bullshit to women and kids that is punishable by the UCMJ. And then they came back to Crete and they all cried like a bunch of little bitches in their boots for 2 weeks because the military didn't know where do we put them? They did their mission. Where do they go? Where do we put them? We don't know. Let them just sit in the tank in the swell of the nastiness in which they just did. And these guys went crazy and they trashed Suda Bay Crete. And that's what the military did. And then they shut themselves up and they play video games. And then they can't decide what's real and what's fake and who's the enemy. Because they never learned discernment. They never read the Bible. I've read it and I've listened to a lot of the Bible. I know the Bible. I just see it as metaphor. I don't look at it as a real thing like so many people do. I look at it as not Jesus Christ coming back to planet Earth to make everybody's heart do the right thing. No, it's a frequency, and people are supposed to use their free will and help people in their community. And that's every community that I've ever lived, that's what I've done. Yet I've been a part of these huge organizations, like working at Offutt Air Force Base. I got a sticky brick. Do you have a sticky brick? You got a brick from the building where they modified and put the bomb on the plane so they could drop it in Hiroshima for no good reason? Washington, D.C. and Hollywood are extension of themselves. They work off the same budgets, and they both exist to get the American public to believe in a contrived reality. And as soon as Americans leave and they go someplace else outside this imposed reality, America is the joke. How do you because the people that live in other countries are like, how do you let so many of your own people suffer? And they're like, oh, that's because it's run by frickin' frat boys in secret societies that do weird butt stuff and put ribbons on their wieners and all kinds of things that their wives think is just so cute and endearing. But what the wives don't know is the men really hate them. They're just acting. That's funny. I've known a lot of Tanyas too. But I know one that's pretty cool, so I give the rest of them the benefit of the doubt. But, like, I got in a fight with the Tanya Patton when I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old. It was 6th grade. It was the last day. Deer Creek Elementary. Central Valley, California. It's now Shasta Lake City. It doesn't even exist as the same town as it was. This girl frickin' just gave me a hard time, and finally she called me out, and we went out by the tree. The bell rang, and she was like, hey, you know, like egging me on, and finally I hit her, and she dropped down to the ground. And I was like, I scared myself. I don't like, because I've been hit so many times. I never wanted to do that to nobody else, but I didn't want her to treat me the way she had treated, and I figured that that was the switch to shut that off. And she's like, "You had a rock in your hand," and I'm like, "No, I opened my hands." I'm like, "No, I didn't." There was a couple witnesses, bystanders. She didn't start CVI for junior high the next year. Why? Because she was so insecure. She found a boy, and they did stuff that grown-ups do, and she ended up pregnant. Yeah. So I learn from other people's mistakes is what I do. So I try to show, because I come up brash. I show up brash. I have a lot of masculine energy. I'm an Aries, you know. That's why I try to come in soft. And and match energy. But usually that gets me walked over like a mat, which I don't mind. I get used a lot. I do. That's okay. It doesn't bother me a bit, because it shows me who's going to use me. Who's going to be reciprocatory, like who's going to be, it's going to be an exchange of energy, or who is going to be a parasite. Who are the ones that it's always all about? Ever know people like that? I went to AA 14 years in Bellevue, Nebraska. The people that I would sit there and I'd listen and I'd count how many times they would talk about themselves before they were asking like anything about what was going on in my world, because that's what AA is about. It's about getting out of yourself, out of your own head, and being of service to other people. And I'm trying to get my old SUV. I'm trying to put a outboard, fabricate like slide drawers where I could put a kitchen in. So I'm a really good cook, and Mom likes to go on drives. So we're gonna outboard a kitchen in the back of the Suburban, and then I'm gonna get all the best ingredients at a local market here in town where I live in Taos. I'm not in Offutt. I just was stationed there. I play with demographics. I went to college for IT, so I put places where I've been, and then I have to tell stories about my experiences at the places I've been. And so I'm gonna go around in New Mexico where I live, and then I'm just gonna pull up and make some people that are having a hard day, and just put all my love into some food for them, and cook them some real good food. And then I'm gonna clean up the mess, and then me and Mom are gonna be on our way. And that's how we're gonna spend and taking pictures, of course, because I got social media. Social media is what I started doing to use my energy wisely, because when I don't, things get, I start trying to figure out how things work, and I start taking things apart, and then they break. And when I lived in, anyway, I don't need to go too far back in the past. I've done 2.7 thousand videos of a digital account on how the system is failing. We're about the end of that. So, I've noticed that there's a lot of people that are just victims of circumstance. They're just victims. They're just, they did everything they were supposed to do, like I did, like Mom did. We crossed our T's, dotted our I's. But there's just somebody behind a desk someplace that just didn't feel like doing what they were, was in their job title. Because they're control freaks, and they did it too many times because they got away with it. So there's all these people out in the cold because people deem themselves creator and God of who can live a good life and who can't. And these are all the walls that are being abolished now. All these systems, dude. Military is just welfare for the people in the military. Understand? Nike, the corporation, it's just a welfare system for the people within Nike. Like Jarman, like every company, every city, or not every city, because, well, cities have their own agenda, but they all have their own energy, and it's not to take care either. If you come from a heart space of greed, it's going to be about money every single time. Soon as people start talking of like money, I'm out. I don't care, because I don't have earth in my chart. There is nothing that grounds me to this earthly plane. I have this tattoo because it keeps me grounded to this earthly plane, because I am Always in the no place space. My mind, unless I'm meditating, which I meditate just to keep me grounded to this earthly plane. So I can differentiate what's nonsense and what's not, because everybody on planet Earth is an actor. I just show my role. You know how they say you wear your heart on your sleeve? I show my role on my sleeve. That's what this is. I am Standing Turtle. Standing turtles don't run. They're making everybody a criminal so they can make their fake prisons, and after they deter my I know this. My father's side is full of all of the nepotism and all of the privilege and all the advantage I never tapped into. I didn't want it, because mom taught me, don't take something from somebody that you don't like. And I haven't since. Yep. This world is not for me. I'm just trying to make it better so it can be better for people that have kids. You know, that's all. I get so much hate from people I have never ever met. And all I'm trying to do is make the world a better place. It is so funny because they're insecure, because they feel bad, because they don't have ideas. Take mine. Take my ideas. Take any idea. Come up with your own way. Go to Sticker Mule. People get so happy when you give them stickers. I got the big ones. I got little ones. I got magnets. I leave them around town. They just want something for nothing. It makes them feel good. And there's enough in this world. There's only 2 million people in this whole state. And they're not having babies like they used to. People are still having kids because, you know, it's better than having, it's a step up from, it's an evolution up from having dogs and cats. It's like they shouldn't have dogs and cats, but go ahead. Bring a child into this world. Especially if either one of the parents are addicted to any substance like alcohol or anything. Yeah, by all means. Mom was sober. She never did no drugs, alcohol. She stayed sober because she wanted to be clear of head, because she has 5 years. She has 5 planets in Sagittarius. She is the truth. I couldn't deny the my reality if I wanted. And it wasn't a good place. I came from the world where people are hunted in the woods. That is the world in which I come from, where mistakes are made and that's how they're fixed. That's the world in which I come from, where babies are given stuff when the moms are pregnant with the little baby that makes the baby different than the baby was supposed to be. So what I decided to be is fluid. Be everything. Be like water. Turn the other cheek. Don't get mad. I don't have, like, I am predisposed, like, in terms of MK Ultra, I am a poster child for one of these people that are programmed to hear a song, get a gun, go out and do this. I won't do it. I'm very competitive with things. Not so much against other beings, but like I was a marksman. I missed expert by 1 with M16 and small arms. Like I hit targets. Like it's science, it's physics. It's if this then that. And if you just do the same thing over and over, you get in the middle every single time. I don't know why people are over here and over, like why can't they dial in? And I've had to learn how to defend myself my whole entire life. That's why you could tell when people don't want to fight because they don't want to fight. Like, because you could tell when people have been in fights because they don't want to do it. Like, ever since Tanya Patton, I've only defended myself. I've never, ever hit, since I was 12, I had to defend myself against my brother. He was a state wrestling champion. And at one point, he freaked out. He just got back from basic training. And he freaking freaked out, and I ended up with my arms pinned on my side and him freaking picking me up and slamming my head into the ground, and he wasn't going to stop. The only thing I stopped is he had my arms pinned, and I grabbed him as hard as I could in the nuts. And he snapped out of it and got and then like and then he still made me drive home from Sacramento to Redding in his 68 Ford Falcon that Dad bought him. You know what Dad got me when I graduated in high school? I gotta laugh. He got me a t-shirt. This is how narcissistic he is. He got me a t-shirt that says 4 years of school and all I get is this lousy t-shirt and no car. And I barely graduated high school. Like, I don't think they even planned on going to my graduation. Because I had Saturday school, like, the week before graduation. Because my 5th grade class after lunch, I'd always skip. 5th and 6th, I'd skip, so, or I'd be late. So I'd, like, 40-something tardies. I did it, though. Oh, my whole life is by the skin of my teeth. Because mom said, you know, if you don't do the work, you're not going to graduate. But I didn't, because my brother was already in college, and I looked up to him, and, well, less after the head slamming incident. But I modeled his behavior as far as, like, what people do to succeed. Like, he's why I went to college, and then I figured out I'm not a part of that program. Like, you know, and it's all because it's so convoluted. He's the state system. Like, he got in trouble. He got recruited by the Freemasons back in, like, the 80s, you know, like, he's in the Skull and Bones fraternity, Kappa Sigma Pi, you know, like, he's one of them. He's one of the system, the program people. And I think it's funny that mom's DNA, her genetics is magnetics, and it ended up back here where she was born. From Salem, Oregon, we ended up in Taos. And when we left Salem, Oregon, our destination was Flagstaff, and that didn't pan out. That was hell of its own little story of itself 5 years ago. And then we end up here, and then we found out after we were here, met mom's cousin, Adrian Cisneros, met her nephew, Larry Archuleta. He's the one that sent me pictures of mom's mom, so I got to see where mom's face came from. And it's just weird to end up in the same place where she was discarded for having 2 club feet. It's this nose. I see this nose everywhere. All over town. And because people hate themselves, they do. They hate themselves because they threw their baby away. Like, they coulda, shoulda, you know, like, we should have kept that baby, blah, you know, or, you know, we shouldn't have done this. And they're so mad about things that they should have done or they shouldn't have done. Either way, they're just angry. And they sit in these thoughts from back there instead of trying to make up for it now. Like, you don't, you know, and so they know she's here and they could have made it up to her. But I met her niece, too. She's like, she's like I don't know, the manager of the internet company in town, Kit Carson Internet. It's like, if you don't have so much to give, if you don't have a bunch of money, then you're useless. And money isn't even real. That's what's so weird. That's what determines, that's how I weed out who has a heart and who is soulless. Is like, who's going to throw away their own family member? Who does that? Who throws away, you know? And how many times I've heard, I don't want to be a burden. You know why people say that? It's because their families, that's how their families treat them. I am so careful. I got Cancer in my first and second house, and Capricorn in seventh and eighth, and we're in this Cancer full moon, and I am just, Mom is so little. Mom's little legs, like, are the size of my arm. Like, she's such a tiny little fragile little flower, right? And so, like, we move real slow. We're just a couple little old ladies, okay? And the hell that she has been through just for being born onto this earth, being, I think about that all the time. Like, her, when she's sitting here watching TV, and I hear in my brother's voice from, you never get a job, you know, you worthless welfare mom, blah 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 blah. And then I think about it, like, she was born with 2 club feet. She had 3, 4, 5 surgeries on each of her feet every year for 3, 4 years. So that's 2, 4, 6 surgeries on her feet alone, and her legs, because she was a guinea pig. You know, they just tried this and tried that, which hopefully, you know, the medicine had advanced that babies that are born with club feet now have a better chance. That's why I watched that Jackson's Journey kid, because he reminds me of Mom. She has little Kermit the Frog legs, and she can't point. Her feet are set like this at like a 40. They're like, look, her foot is only this big too. They're real tiny. So we actually got to soak feet today. I have the bag of magnesium right here because we were supposed to do it yesterday and I forgot. Supposed to do it the day before and I forgot. So now it's like, okay, now I got to put a reminder out. And so we got to take care of her feet. It's very important to take care of her feet. Rub her feet. Make sure that circulation gets in her feet. She doesn't have any sores on her feet. You know, stuff like that. And she took care of herself for so long. So she had those 6 surgeries at least. And then she had 2 C-sections. And then she had a prolapse rectum and 2 surgeries from that. So that's 4. That's 10 surgeries. She got her head slammed in a car door by a man that she cared for, and was in. That's when I lost her. In '89. That's when, like, my mom died but didn't leave the earth. And that's why I enlisted in the military. Because I knew that one day she couldn't take care of herself. And see, people don't do that. People don't do what I do. They don't. They do what my brother does and says, Mom's your problem. When I go to him and I say, God, Jerry, I need help, man. My credit's fucked. Like, you know, I felt my life didn't turn out how I planned it. The deck was stacked, you know. And I figured out I couldn't go to work anymore because Mom needed more attention and she wasn't drinking water and she wasn't eating and all this stuff. And I had to do more to take care of her with less. He's like, nah, I'm good. I don't wanna. And I was like, shit, dude. Okay, here we go, G.O.D. and me. What are we doing? Then we end up where Mom was born. I can't make it up, you know. So now I talk trash, not trash. I just talk truth. I speak truth in the local community. I think it's funny, is I recently did on my Facebook page, or on TikTok too. I don't know. I do stuff and then I put it all over. It's like fishing. You throw out fishing or crab nets, and then you go back later and check them. But that's what I do. So this one is talking about how people like don't like themselves, and then they see their faces in other people, and then they get mad at the people that they see their face in. And the little Cuesta news place up in where Mom is from saw it, watched it twice, because you can see who watches your shit. And I was like, I should do one about how she was born a Christian, because I'm on comments I'm making everywhere. Like when people do something like how rad the community is. I'm like, give me a break. They throw babies away for being born with 2 club feet. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me. Hey, Calvin. Hi, Calvin. Calvin is my higher power standing turtle. That was my first tattoo back in 93, 4, 5. Yep. Anyway, alright, that's all I got for now. Take the good, leave the rest. Have a rad day. Peace.